Welcome. This video is for anyone who has ever questioned their reality, their worth, or their voice in a relationship that felt confusing. If you're healing from narcissistic abuse, this is not about reliving the pain. It's about reclaiming yourself. Take a breath with me. You're safe here. Let's begin. There's a strange quiet that comes after narcissistic abuse. Not always immediately. Not at first. At first, there's confusion. Then there's replay. Then there's trying to make sense of it. But eventually, if you pull away long enough, there's a quiet. And that quiet feels unfamiliar. Not dramatic, not intense, just steady. This video isn't about diagnosing someone. It's about what it feels like to come back to yourself after being emotionally destabilized for a long time. Because that's really what narcissistic abuse does. It destabilizes you. And healing is less about revenge or exposing someone, and more about stabilizing yourself again. Most people don't enter these relationships thinking, this is going to hurt me. It usually starts with intensity. You feel chosen, seen, understood in a way that feels rare. It can feel like someone finally recognizes something in you that other people overlooked. And that's part of why it's confusing later. Because when things shift, when criticism replaces warmth, when withdrawal replaces connection, you hold on to the beginning. You keep thinking the beginning was the real version. And if you just try harder, communicate better, be calmer, be more understanding, maybe you can get back there. But the beginning wasn't the baseline. It was the hook. And realizing that is painful. Because it means you weren't losing something stable. You were chasing something that was never consistent. Narcissistic abuse doesn't always look explosive. Sometimes it looks like subtle doubt, small corrections, tiny dismissals, tone shifts, conversations that leave you slightly off balance. You start explaining yourself more, rehearsing what you'll say before you say it, anticipating reactions. You become hyper aware of their mood. And slowly, without noticing it, your internal focus shifts. You stop asking, how do I feel about this? And start asking, how will they react to this? That shift is significant because now your nervous system is organized around managing someone else, not around being yourself. After enough mixed signals, something strange happens. You don't know what's real anymore. You remember conversations differently than they do. You feel hurt, but you're told you're overreacting. You try to address something calmly, and it gets flipped back onto you. You leave conversations feeling like you are defending yourself instead of expressing yourself. And over time, the confidence you once had in your perception weakens. You start thinking maybe you are too sensitive. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe you need to work on yourself more. Self-reflection is healthy, but constant self-doubt is not growth. It's conditioning. And there's a difference. One of the hardest parts of recovering is admitting that there were good moments. Sometimes really good ones. Moments of connection. Moments where they were attentive, affectionate, and supportive. And those moments weren't fake in the sense that you imagined them. But they were inconsistent. And inconsistency creates attachment in a way that stability doesn't. Because your brain starts scanning for when the good version will return. You tolerate more than you normally would because you know what they're capable of being. You hold on to potential. You justify behavior based on rare softness. And that's not weakness, that's hope. But hope can keep you in cycles longer than logic ever would. When you finally pull away, or when it finally ends, it doesn't always feel victorious. Sometimes it feels empty. Sometimes it feels like you lost something meaningful. Even if you were exhausted. Even if you were anxious. Even if you are constantly bracing yourself, because you're not just grieving a person, you're grieving the version you believed in, the future you imagined, the intensity you got used to. And here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Calm can feel boring at first. Peace can feel unfamiliar. When your nervous system has adapted to unpredictability, stability can feel flat. But flat isn't bad. Flat is regulated. And regulated feels different than chaos. One of the quiet consequences of narcissistic abuse is identity distortion. You become smaller in ways you don't immediately see. You stop bringing up certain topics. You soften your opinions. You manage your tone more than your truth. You lose spontaneity. You filter yourself constantly. And after it ends, there's a subtle question. Who am I without this dynamic? What do I actually like? What do I believe without someone correcting me? What do I tolerate now that I didn't before? Rebuilding doesn't look dramatic. It looks like small decisions. Not responding immediately. Not over-explaining. Saying that doesn't work for me without speech attached. Trusting your discomfort instead of overriding it. It's quiet work, but it's powerful. Clarity doesn't come in a dramatic epiphany. It comes in moments. You reread old messages and see the manipulation more clearly. You remember how anxious you were and realize that wasn't normal. You notice how much calmer your body feels now. You realize you're not walking on eggshells anymore. And slowly self-trust returns. Not loudly, but steadily. You don't need to prove what happened. You don't need them to admit anything. You don't need outside validation to confirm your experience. Because your body remembers. And now your mind is catching up. There's a different kind of strength that develops after narcissistic abuse. It's not loud confidence. It's discernment. You start noticing red flags earlier. You don't romanticize intensity the same way. You value consistency more than chemistry. You value emotional safety more than excitement. And maybe the biggest shift of all, you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing. Choosing calm, choosing clarity, choosing people who don't destabilize you. Choosing yourself. Healing from narcissistic abuse isn't about becoming hard. It's about becoming clear. It's not about shutting down. It's about not abandoning yourself again. You don't have to label everything perfectly. You don't have to explain it to everyone. You just have to notice the difference in your nervous system now. The steadiness, the quiet, the lack of constant mental replay. And if you feel lighter, that's not because it didn't matter. It's because you're no longer carrying something that was never yours to manage. That's healing. And it doesn't have to be dramatic to be real.